She's up all night to the sun. I'm up all night to
You're
get
live
some.
with Storm
She's up
FM.
for good fun. I'm up all night to get lucky.
Hard, play hard, keep partying like it's your job.
Playing today's best music.
My car into the bridge. I don't care. I love it.
I'm covering my ears like a kid. When your words mean nothing, I go la la la.
Storm FM live every day on Spreaker.com.
Yes, that was the Storm FM jingle. I am Jinxie, and backed by popular demand, it is my Avenged sevenfold special. You guys enjoyed my last one that I only did Hail to the King, with some of self-titled, some of Waking the Fallen, some of Sound of the Seventh Trumpet, some of City of Evil, and some of Nightmare as well. But I've got all of that coming up for you straight up after this interview. And kind of in the middle, I will do you Nightmare as well. So here is the interview with Matt and Zaki from Bees from Scars.
Bees, and I'm delighted to say today we are joined for Scars Week's Avenged Sevenfold by Matt and Zaki. How's it going?
Great.
Really good. So we open this interview the same way each time. Who were the first artists that made you want to be in a band?
For me, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. One of the finest frontmen ever as well, it has to be said.
My dad got me Appetite for Destruction when it came out, and I don't know if he's a good parent or a bad parent for that.
Total badass.
Yeah, probably for me, Black Sabbath. Same reason. My parents used to go to Black Sabbath concerts, you know, and I grew up around it, and I was like, I can do that.
And so I guess we'll pick things up sounding the Seventh Trumpet first. It seems, retrospectively, it seems mental, but like to imagine you as part of the hardcore scene. Were you part of that whole like bleeding through? I guess Atreyu at the time as well in California. Like was that a scene that you were part of or comfortable being part of?
I think musically we weren't comfortable being part of it, but definitely those are all our friends. The 18 Visions, the Bleeding Throughs, the Atreyus, there were so many bands, but that was our scene. So the scene was, if you want to play shows, you played shows with hardcore bands, because there was like the Showcase Theater, Chain Reaction, everyone was doing shows at little places like that, and there wasn't much of a scene outside of that hardcore scene for us. But musically, we always tended to be a little more punk rock and a little more metal, and not as much like full-on hardcore. So musically, we always saw ourselves as a little different.
It's not just a beat-down heavy record as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's like really cheesy singing parts.
Did you always see Sevenfold as a band that would outgrow that thing as well? About that particular scene.
You know, I think we thought when we made the first album, we thought that we already were outgrowing it by doing songs like Warmness on the Soul.
Right.
But obviously we're young and extremely naive, but we really thought that was like the next evolution of like heavy metal, and we're taking it in a new direction. And I knew early on that we were going to outgrow it. Maybe not at that point, because we were still pretty young and loved stuff a little too fast and a little too heavy. But it was a perfect place, right time, it was fun.
We'd outgrown it in our minds, but we were the smallest band in the scene. Exactly. We were still opening, first to 5, and we'd have like 10 friends come and dance and hang out, but we always thought, hey, this is going to be big someday.
Amazing. I remember interviewing you for Metal Hammer on the phone on Waking the Fallen, and kind of going from where we were just saying, and a quote that you said always stayed with me, where you were like, hardcore bands are bands that want to be metal bands but can't play well enough. Was what you said at the time.
Oh, what a jerk!
Was that how you felt the evolution went from Sounding the Seventh Trumpet to Waking the Fallen?
A little bit, only in the sense that that was maybe our case, but it wasn't necessarily everyone's case. I mean, there's obviously a lot of hardcore bands that I love and respect that...
I'm not throwing you in at the deep end there, sorry, man.
No, but it's true. I mean, like, there was... For us, we loved bands like Pantera, but there's no way we could play at that level at that point. So we were doing much more simple breakdowns and stuff, because it gave us the feeling of like a Pantera or a heavy band, and we were calling it hardcore, but we couldn't even touch Dime or Iomi. I mean, we couldn't, we're kids. And so for us, it was like, yeah, we want to be as good as Pantera, but we can't play that good. So
yeah, it's true.
Did Waking the Fallen feel special when you were recording it? Because I mean, I remember at the time it was basically that summer. It was Waking the Fallen and Through the Ashes of Empires by Machine Head that just totally owned my iPod. Did it feel? Did it feel special at the time?
To me, it absolutely did. I remember before it actually came out, and I just had my copy, and I went out and bought an actual stereo system and put it in my parents' house where I lived at the time, and I listened to it, and I was like, we're really onto something. Like, there's something more to what we're doing than just the hardcore scene, like the other bands that we're growing up around and stuff. Mainly because, in my personal opinion, he started incorporated singing. And before the band ever started, I mean, we'd been friends for a long time, and he was in a separate band throughout high school, and he always had the best voice. He was like the kid in high school that could sing, that actually sounded like a singer and actually sounded like a grown-up. And so it was like, wow, he's singing now. It's not just screaming. And I mean, we had a lot of like melodic parts, and bringing in Sin, the guitar parts became way more intricate than the stuff that I was capable of playing, and I was happy about it. I was stoked. He'd teach me how to play it, so it was good on my end. I'd learn how to play it. And
wasn't Sinister wasn't he teaching in a college at that time? Like teaching guitar.
He was going to MI,
and
he was studying jazz.
Yeah, that was it.
He wanted to be a studio musician. That was like his to write original songs and to play in an original band wasn't even like in his mind. He didn't even think it was possible, even though he was friends with all of us and friends with the Rev. But he knew his playing ability was way above mine and Zach's.
Did he take much convincing then with that?
No, because he heard sounding the seventh trumpet and he really liked the songs. So he said he wanted to play with us. And he was already best friends with Jimmy, and we were all friends. So he's like, well, can I play? And we were at an AFI show in San Diego, I remember, and I was like, dude, we should add another guitar player. It'd be kind of cool. And then we're like, yeah, let's do it. And then we were all excited. And we're like, we're five band members now, And
killer.
It was weird, but then we added Sin to the group, and then all of a sudden we're like, dude, now we have to do solos everywhere because he's solo.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah. You just solo, bro. So.
Solos and dueling guitars. It was never the same from that point on.
And something that really stood out when Waking the Fallen dropped is that you seem to have more than just like the songs. It felt like a full package, like the photos and the kind of gothy overtones that were like present on Waking the Fallen, especially like on I Won't See You Tonight Part 1.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious effort to put something together that was more than just, hey, here's a band that plays songs?
Absolutely, and that was like kind of a reflection of the hardcore scene, is that they were very, you couldn't do production, you couldn't have fake names, you couldn't wear clothes, you had to wear army shorts and jerseys. And to us, we were just like, no. Like, our favorite bands put on huge shows, like outside of the hardcore scene. We appreciate the hardcore scene and we want to be a part of it, but we want to still be theatrical. So we started rebelling in a big way, almost like a little kid would rebel against his parents, like, we're going to use fog machines, we're going to have an image, we're going to do all these things, and we did it mostly to kind of weed out the people that just wanted to judge us on our image. So it was just more to piss people off. So
rebellion starting as you mean to go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, vocal worries. We had a similar chat with Matt from Bullet for My Valentine recently. Can you explain what went on with you losing your voice after Waking the Fallen and how it affected the dynamic within the band?
Yes, and as I explain it, no matter how much I say it on TV, kids will still say, "Oh, he can't scream," or "He heard his voice." But I'll explain it
Right.
for the record.
Yes, that's what we like.
For the record, we just got off Warped Tour, and the reality is when you're screaming every night and you're still trying to sing high notes, your chords get thick every day, right? They're swollen. And anyone that knows anything about vocal cords, which I don't expect anyone to know anything about them, but as soon as they get thick, the vibrations can't happen in the same way, so you lose your high notes. And that wasn't acceptable to me because I was going on stage every day at Warped Tour, and I wanted to be able to sing the parts. I didn't want to just have my voice blown out. And once it's blown out and you're on tour, you're out there and it's not coming back. Like, you got to take time off to get it back. So the reality was my voice that hurt? I don't know. But I knew that I couldn't sing the high notes anymore, so I went and saw a vocal specialist, and he said, "Listen, you're not going to be able to talk in quite a few years because you're just putting so much pressure on these chords." And there was a blood vessel that had popped, and he said, "That blood vessel is popping over and over in your chords. It's not going to kill you, but what if we removed it?" And so he had a new technology, and he's done everyone from, helping Julie Andrews get her voice back to Steven Tyler to Jagger. He's done all these guys.
Right.
So I trusted him, and we went in there and basically took out the blood vessel that was continuing to rupture. And after that, I started training, and I started trying to really learn how to use my voice and scream properly and sing properly. But at that point, we didn't really have interest in screaming anymore. It was just kind of something that everyone was doing. Every Warped Tour band was throwing a couple screams in there. It didn't matter if you were heavy or if you were punk. It was like the thing to do was to scream over stuff. And we're like, yeah, our favorite bands, they really do sing. As much as you look at Pantera, Phil's singing.
Yeah, totally.
And, Axl's singing, and Bruce is singing, and Hetfield's singing. And it was like, why are we screaming over all these parts that we can make a cool melody for? So it was a combination of the voice troubles with wanting to focus on being a band that brought back a little bit more of a classic metal feel. And so if I want to scream now, I can do it and still sing my high notes. But it's just something that we choose not to do. But the voice is A-okay.
So, do you think that City of Evil, and the feel on that record and the changes that happened due to your voice and making the conscious decision to just go, let's sing, it feels like that was the blueprint for what Sevenfold were going to do for the foreseeable? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, man, we strapped on our big boy pants and decided we're going to put out a record and we don't care what anyone thinks about it. And we knew Waking the Fallen had a big following, but we knew every freaking band was trying to copy that. And not saying they're copying us, but they were trying to do the scream sing thing, and it was just like, man, I can't listen to this anymore. And I don't even want to be a part of this. So let's make a metal record, and let's be influenced by European metal bands and not, our own hardcore scene. Let's be influenced by, Children of Bodom and Maiden, dueling guitars and Attitude like Guns N' Roses. And so, yeah, that's what it kind of set us off on that track.
It was a bold thing to do at that point in time as well, to head in a more, because it wasn't like old school metal was like the cool. I mean, it's cool now, but when you think back to when that record came out, all the bands that you were talking about, it wasn't like the cool thing at the time.
Yeah, our whole scene was a reaction to that, right? I mean, it was like the new thing. It was aggressive vocals, and we were trying to take it to the next level. And it was kids. It was angst. It was just a rebellion against the type of music our parents listened to. And then we decided, we're gonna go play the stuff that...
It set you apart from what was going on at that time as well, in terms of it felt like there was a crop of young bands that were all of a similar ilk, like yourselves, Trivium, Bullet, Killswitch.
Yeah.
And those three bands, no disrespect to them, all great bands, but those three bands have all continued to do what they do, whereas Sevenfold just went...
Yeah, and there was a lot of bands that we grew up, there was a lot of bands, Poison the Well was a huge influence on us coming up, and there was a bunch of bands that were just completely in that scene and a part of what we wanted to be a part of, and then we kind of made a right turn, and we did... I don't mean a right turn in terms of, we made it right. I mean, we just kind of, we made a turn, and we did our own little path, and I'm glad we did, but we owe a lot to those bands.
Were you nervous at the time? Were you nervous before that record dropped?
It's easy to look back and say, no, man, we weren't nervous. I think maybe we were.
I must have been I guess, what year did City of Evil come out?
2005.
Right, so I'd have been 22 at the time.
Well, I do remember us being like, hey, it's not that big of a difference, because we'd been living with it for a long time, We're like, well, it still sounds like Avenged. I mean, we're going to put out Beast in the Harlot. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. I remember that track drop.
And we put it out, and it was like, people were like, what?
I mean, I must admit, like, as a fan at the time, like, it was like, oh, I kind of get this. And then the chorus came. I was like,
Yeah,
just
what?
happened?
Yeah. Is it Halloween?
Yeah, really?
Yeah.